What's a viral career move worth ruining your anniversary for? AITA for ruining my own anniversary trip because I found out my husband tweeted something insane while we were supposed to be having a moment. Throwaway account because Nicholas follows my regular Twitter, X account, and I'm honestly too wired right now to care about anonymity, but whatever. Also, excuse the rambling, it's 3:17 a.m. and I am hiding in the meditation lounge at this stupid retreat eating a stale Costco granola bar I smuggled in. I haven't slept properly in 3 days, so buckle up because I just found out my husband, Nicholas Bryant 32M, hasn't just forgotten our 10th anniversary. He actively ruined it by trying to leverage our romantic getaway into some kind of viral career move, and now I'm questioning literally everything, including why I married a man whose primary goal in life is getting his kids into an Ivy League preschool. I am Catherine Russell 46F, by the way. Yes, there's a 14-year age gap. Yes, I know, past me thought it was hot. Current me thinks past me was an idiot. Let me set the scene. We've been married 10 years this June, and honestly the spark is less spark and more damp firewood that needs a lot of newspaper and maybe some lighter fluid. Nicholas is an achievement-obsessed parent. He treats fatherhood like a competitive sport. Our 2 kids, 7F and 5M, have schedules that would make an investment banker sweat. We're talking Mandarin lessons, competitive robotics, and something called advanced sensory tactile development on Saturdays. It's exhausting. I, on the other hand, am a Disney dad, not literally Disney, but I'm the one who secretly lets them eat Talenti gelato for breakfast sometimes and mostly focuses on the fun part of life. This is a perpetual conflict. To celebrate the big 1-0, and honestly to force Nicholas to relax for 5 minutes, I booked a week at this ridiculously expensive, hyper-exclusive place called the Serenity Oasis Wellness Retreat in Arizona. Think mandatory silence periods, juice cleanses, and a $347 bill for a single lukewarm stone massage. I paid for it all, obviously, with money from my side hustle, because every time I mention money to Nicholas, he starts talking about the $1,247 monthly payments for his BMW he can't afford, and how we need to save every penny for the kids' future. And GL, I was hoping this retreat would force some genuine connection. Spoiler alert, it didn't. We arrived Tuesday at 11:47 a.m. Nicholas immediately tried to log into the Wi-Fi to check his work email, even though I specifically told him the whole point was to unplug. He got mad because his iPhone 14 battery was at 3%, and the retreat has a digital detox policy, meaning phone use is restricted to certain hours in designated areas. He looked like he was going into withdrawal. The first 48 hours were rough. We had to attend this mandatory couples communication workshop, led by a guy named Dr. Caspian, who smelled faintly of patchouli and disappointment. Nicholas spent the entire time subtly trying to one-up the other couples. When another man mentioned his wife appreciated him doing the laundry, Nicholas interrupted full volume to detail how he reorganized the entire pantry by macronutrient content last month. I did the thing where you just smile and nod while internally screaming. Then we met the other people in our small, exclusive group. This is where it gets wild. There was Bobby Wang, 57M. Bobby is the narrator in this nightmare, TBH. He looks like someone who is perpetually holding back tears, and he is. Bobby is here because he is a stillbirth griever. He and his wife, who wasn't here, she was doing her own grief journey, apparently lost their child years ago, and he comes here every year around the anniversary date. He was incredibly quiet, dressed always in expensive but slightly rumpled linen, and he looked like he hadn't slept in maybe a decade. He was always holding a cheap Starbucks mug, just staring out the window. His grief was palpable, and honestly it made Nicholas's obsession with private kindergarten applications seem even more ridiculous. I felt bad for Bobby. I really did. He was the only person here who seemed to grasp the true meaning of suffering. Then there was Harold Garcia, 25M. Harold, oh my god. Harold was a conspiracy theorist, the kind who talks about Bill Gates tracking us through the Ring doorbell and how the earth is actually shaped like a donut. He was constantly muttering about the wellness industrial complex and kept trying to secretly film the meditation instructor on his Samsung Galaxy, which had a cracked screen. He wore an Apple Watch, ironically, and kept checking his step count, even while claiming the steps were being recorded by the government. He cornered me by the juice bar and started talking about how the green juice was secretly spiked with microchips designed to control our spending habits. I just kept nodding, desperate to escape. Anyway, back to Nicholas. On Thursday morning, we were supposed to be doing a silent sunrise vinyasa flow. Nicholas hated it. He kept huffing loudly because the instructor kept telling him to release tension, and Nicholas apparently doesn't believe in releasing tension. He believes in bottling it up until he has a stress ulcer. During the mandatory phone time 1:00 p.m. to 2:00 p.m., I noticed Nicholas was being extremely shifty. He was sitting in the corner, hunched over his phone, typing furiously and kept side-eyeing the other guests, especially Bobby. When I walked over to ask what he was doing, he slammed the phone face down and practically barked, "Research. I'm researching Dr. Caspian's methodology, Catherine. It's important to be informed." Yeah, right? Nicholas literally cannot remember passwords to save his life, but he's doing rigorous academic research on holistic wellness, please. Later that afternoon, we were sitting silently near the Zen water feature, which, BTW, looked exactly like a small, poorly maintained public fountain, and I was finally starting to feel a tiny bit relaxed. I had my phone charging because the battery health is terrible, and I decided to quickly check Twitter. I still refuse to call it X, don't judge me. I mostly follow writers and cute dog accounts. I scrolled for maybe 30 seconds and then I saw it, a viral tweet. It had maybe 15,000 likes and was blowing up. And the picture attached was a slightly blurry photo of the back of Bobby Wang's head looking particularly sad and isolated near the fountain. The text was from Nicholas Bryant's account, And I swear to God, I started shaking, full body shaking. My heart started racing and my chest felt tight. I thought I might throw up the mandated organic lentil soup from lunch. The tweet posted exactly 45 minutes prior read, Nicholas Bryant at Achievement Dad, just witnessing the raw, unfiltered grief of a stillbirth griever 57M at this 8K week retreat. He's here to mourn the anniversary of his loss. It's devastating but also incredibly moving. It reminds me why achieving success now for my 7F and 5M is non-negotiable. Don't waste time. Get that MBA, enroll in those classes, maximize every minute. Achievement culture parenting goals, no excuses. I read it 3 times. The rage I felt wasn't just anger, it was pure unadulterated red. He had literally used a vulnerable, grieving stranger Bobby who had just been sitting there quietly as an aesthetic prop and a talking point to promote his sick, competitive parenting philosophy. He took the most tragic, intimate detail he could find at this wellness retreat and monetized it for internet engagement. And this wasn't some random burner account. This was his main account where he constantly posts motivational quotes about synergy and crushing goals. He often uses precise ages and descriptions when discussing the kids, trying to make it sound like data points. I put my phone down, stood up, and walked straight over to where Nicholas was pretending to read a book on mindfulness. He looked up, annoyed. Catherine, I'm trying to enter a flow state, he whispered dramatically. You need to stop flowing and start explaining, I hissed, holding up my phone, screen facing him. What the actual hell is this? Nicholas squinted at the screen and his face went from self-important smugness to panic faster than I've ever seen. He stammered, wait, what are you saying? It's just, content, viral strategy. Viral strategy. Nicholas, you just exploited a man's profound, private grief on our 10-year anniversary trip that I paid for so you could get motivational likes from strangers. You even put his age in the tweet. Bobby Wang, 57M, what in the influencer hell is wrong with you? He lowered his voice. SHH, be quiet. Look, it's just effective storytelling, Catherine. It's emotionally resonant. People need to hear the motivation. It's working. Look, 18,000 likes already. Imagine what this exposure could do for the kids' applications. I'm thinking of pivoting my brand to grief-motivated success dad. I swear to God, I felt my jaw literally drop. The audacity, the sheer, terrifying lack of basic human decency. You are so focused on maximizing life, Nicholas, you don't even know how to actually live it. You forgot our anniversary, but you remembered to use a man's stillbirth as a damn motivational poster. I was speaking quietly through clenched teeth, but I was so close to screaming I could feel the capillaries bursting behind my eyes. I didn't forget the anniversary, the retreat scheduling is rigid and I thought we could have a bigger moment when we got home. Besides, I have a Zelle receipt showing I sent you $43.67 for the groceries last week. I'm contributing. I wanted to key his car. I wanted to post a picture of the divorce papers. Instead, I just looked him dead in the eyes and said, I'm done, just done. I walked away from the fountain, grabbed my bag and marched straight to the reception desk. I checked into a separate room, told the manager I needed absolute silence and 2 Talenti gelato containers, and then I went straight to the designated phone area. I blocked Nicholas on Twitter, but first I took a screenshot of the original tweet. I also saw that Harold, the conspiracy theorist, 25M, had commented, it's all connected. The grief is a distraction, follow the money. The wellness industrial complex wants you to achieve, but who benefits? Hint, it's not you. I actually had to suppress a giggle, which felt completely inappropriate given the circumstances. My phone was blowing up. 27 calls in the span of 1 hour from Nicholas. Text messages started flooding in, including some absolute gaslighting classics. He texted, you're overreacting, I am serious, it's just Twitter, it helps with the branding. He texted, I never thought you'd be the type to throw away 10 years over a misunderstanding. He texted, can we TLAC, I miss you, did you take the good charger? I ignored them all. I was numb but also weirdly relieved. This proved every single internal argument I'd had over the last few years about his priorities. But here is where the story gets worse, and why I'm hiding in the meditation lounge right now. About 2 hours ago at 1:00 a.m. I was scrolling through Twitter again trying to find cute dog accounts to cleanse my mental palate, and I saw a reply chain on Nicholas' viral post. Bobby Wang, 57M, had responded. His profile picture was a beautiful, slightly faded photo of a smiling woman holding a baby. Bobby's response was simple, direct, and absolutely crushing. It had already amassed more likes than Nicholas' original post. It read, Bobby Wang gets still grieving, Nicholas, you don't know me and you didn't ask permission to use my family's tragedy as content. But since you're so interested in achievement, I want to inform your followers of a critical achievement you should focus on. I am an executive at the Serenity Oasis Wellness Retreats corporate parent company. I don't just come here for therapy, I own the place. And I came here this week not just for the anniversary of my loss, but to interview the candidates for the new CEO position. I've been quietly evaluating you, Nicholas, and your ability to interact with others under stress. Consider your application withdrawn. Enjoy the rest of your stay. The bill for your original couple's room, which you both abandoned, will be sent to the address on file. P.S. Catherine, I heard what you said at the fountain. My door is open if you need to talk about anything or maybe if you're interested in a new job. My eyes are probably swollen shut from ugly crying, but I am also slightly cackling. I saw red, but Bobby saw opportunity, so here I am. My husband just lost a potential multi-million-dollar CEO job because he used the owner's grief as social media fodder. The anniversary is ruined, and I'm terrified of what Nicholas is going to do when he finds out the real identity of the stillbirth griever he exploited. I know he knows I was the one who confronted him, which probably sealed his fate. The sun is coming up. I need more granola. And I need to know, am I crazy for considering taking Bobby up on his offer? I am divorced emotionally already, but is it time to sign the papers and go work for the man whose life story my husband tried to exploit? I am leaving the meditation lounge now. I just heard yelling from the direction of the manager's office. I think Nicholas found out the bill for his room, which he abandoned, is exactly $3,470 for the full week, non-refundable. I need to know what happens next. Do I find Bobby? Do I face Nicholas? I can't go back to apartment 3B and watch him treat our kids like lab experiments. The door to the manager's office just slammed open. Nicholas is walking quickly towards the phone area, looking absolutely feral. His face is pale and he's holding his iPhone like a weapon. Oh God, he's coming right for me. I think he saw me. BRB. Maybe I'll start packing. I hear him yelling, CATHRNE. I just saw the tweet. You were involved in this. You're going to pay for this. What did you say to that man? To be continued. I was frozen. Literally, I think my Costco granola bar remnants probably fell out of my mouth because Nicholas, when he finally reached me, was stepping over something crunchy. He was vibrating with rage. I mean, the kind of rage that makes veins pop out on a person's neck, and his were doing the Macarena. CATHRNE? He hissed, grabbing my arm, not hard enough to bruise, but hard enough to make his point. Did you see that tweet? That Bobby guy, he's the CEO of the parent company. You knew, you must have known. I yanked my arm back. I didn't flinch, which NGL was a big step for me. Usually when Nicholas gets like this, I default to appeasement mode. But something about the realization that he had torpedoed his own career using someone else's pain and confirming that his sole ambition was CEO-level achievement made me bulletproof. I didn't know who Bobby was, Nicholas, I said, my voice shockingly steady considering I'd been hiding in a meditation lounge 3 minutes prior. I just knew he was a person who was grieving and you used him as a motivational prop for internet likes. What did you think was going to happen when you exposed a man's private life to 18,000 strangers? Exposure, that's the point. It was brand synergy. I was showing vulnerability and ambition simultaneously. It's a proven LinkedIn strategy, and now he's ruined me. He withdrew my application, me the most qualified candidate. Nicholas actually threw his head back and made a strangled sound that was half scream, half sobbing realization of a financial disaster. Wait, Nicholas, you were interviewing for a CEO position? I asked, genuinely confused. You never mentioned that. Of course I didn't mention it, Catherine. It was highly confidential. I couldn't jeopardize the opportunity. This whole retreat, the communication workshop, the mandatory silence, it was all a subtle, week-long evaluation. I thought the CEO might be monitoring us. I had to stand out. My brain short-circuited. He didn't forget the anniversary. He used the anniversary trip I paid for as a covert job interview. He wasn't trying to relax, he was trying to perform. You treated our 10-year anniversary like a networking event, I stated flatly. I treated it like a maximization opportunity, and you stood there and confronted me at the fountain. You told him about my parenting philosophy. You sealed my fate. He pointed a shaking finger at me. You didn't want me to succeed, did you? You're jealous of my ambition. I am jealous of the 5-year-old version of you that might have known how to feel empathy, I shot back. And by the way, Bobby already sent the bill for the couple's room to your address. $3,470 non-refundable. Have fun explaining that one to the bank. That hit him harder than the CEO news. The mention of the money he needed for the kids' competitive robotics tuition instantly made his face crumble. You can't do this to me, Catherine. We're married. We have obligations. The kids need their Mandarin tutor. Think about the kids' future. I am thinking about the kids' future, I said, grabbing my small duffel bag. And they deserve a mother and father who treat people like humans, not data points. I am leaving, now. I started walking toward the main entrance, but Nicholas grabbed my arm again, tighter this time. Where are you going? You owe me. I need you to smooth this over with Bobby. You talk to him. Tell him I was stressed. Tell him I didn't mean it. I saw movement to my left. It was Harold Garcia, 25M, the conspiracy theorist, standing near the cactus garden holding his cracked Samsung, filming us openly. The wife is breaking free of the matrix, Nicholas, Harold yelled loud enough for the few early morning staff to hear. The system relies on your achievement anxiety. Don't let the corporate overlords control your marriage. Nicholas whipped his head around, distracted by the unexpected donut earth-shaped intervention. Shut up, Harold. This is a private conversation. It's never private. They're watching everything. The green juice has microchips, Nicholas. Listen to the message. The grief is a distraction. Harold started chanting something about the Federal Reserve. In that beautiful moment of Nicholas being distracted by the literal embodiment of his own paranoia, I slipped away. I didn't run. I walked fast right to the front desk. The young woman there, who looked like she hadn't slept either and was clearly paid minimum wage to deal with maximum wealthy misery, looked at me with deep sympathy. Ma'am, Mr. Wang asked me to confirm that your separate room reservation has been extended complimentary until tomorrow morning. He also left this number for you, she whispered, sliding a thick business card across the counter. It was Bobby Wang's personal cell phone number, along with a corporate email address ending in a very serious-sounding suffix. I nodded my thanks, walked outside, and called a ridiculously overpriced rideshare to the nearest airport. I flew home that morning. Not to apartment 3B, where Nicholas and I had meticulously curated a life based on maximizing school performance, but to my sister's place 400 miles away. She's a nurse and understands stress. So 2 days later, I was living off my sister's terrible instant coffee and stress-watching Netflix documentaries about deep-sea fishing. Nicholas was blowing up my phone, my email, and somehow my LinkedIn DMs. He wasn't sorry about exploiting Bobby. He was sorry about losing the job. Text sample Nicholas 4:17 p.m. Thursday. Catherine, you need to come home. The 7F needs her competitive robotics practice kit. I can't find the hex keys. This is affecting her focus. You are putting the kid's future at risk over a simple Twitter misunderstanding. I'll apologize to the stillbirth griever, but only if you agree to help me draft a mitigating statement that highlights my dedication to family values. Email sample Nicholas 6:00 a.m. Friday. Ray, urgent logistics. We need to discuss the $3,470 charge. I reviewed the terms and conditions and I believe the failure to provide adequate emotional support constitutes a breach of contract on their end. I'm considering litigation. Can you forward me the details of the CEO's corporate structure? I know you're speaking to him. Stop being evasive. He thought I was still fighting his battle. In GL, the delusion was staggering. I spent most of Friday talking to a lawyer specializing in high-asset divorces. Thank God for my side hustle savings. The lawyer, a brilliant woman named Maya, told me that because Nicholas had weaponized the kids' education and finances as control mechanisms, I had a solid case for immediate separation and custody discussions. The real problem was the house. We co-owned apartment 3B, and he would never agree to move out voluntarily. Fast forward to Saturday morning. I finally pulled up Bobby Wang's corporate profile. Holy hell. He wasn't just an executive. He was essentially the North American president of the entire holding group that owned dozens of high-end wellness properties. I drafted maybe 8 different emails to him before settling on something professional but still authentically me. To Bobby Wang, subject, regarding the conversation at the Zen Water feature and the job offer. Dear Mr. Wang, my name is Catherine Russell. I was the woman who confronted Nicholas Bryant at the Serenity Oasis. Thank you for your kindness and your incredible discretion. I sincerely apologize for the disturbance Nicholas caused and for the exploitation of your personal story. I understand completely why you withdrew his application. He deserved it. I was mortified. Regarding your offer of a job, I am very interested. I just filed for separation from Nicholas and I need a major life change and frankly a major income change. I have extensive experience in high-end lifestyle marketing and creative brand strategy, which I used for my side hustle funding the retreat, you know. I'm available to speak whenever you are ready. I truly believe I could be an asset to your organization. Sincerely, Catherine Russell 46F. I hit send. Then I immediately regretted it and thought about throwing my phone into a river. About 30 minutes later, I got a response. It wasn't a formal HR email. It was a reply from his personal account. From Bobby Wang, subject, Ray, regarding the conversation at the Zen Water feature and the job offer. Catherine, no need to apologize. Nicholas' behavior was the most informative interview I've had in a decade. Please don't throw your life away worrying about his mess. He's his own problem now. I need a chief creative officer (CCO) for a new expansion project we're launching. It requires someone with real empathy who understands the luxury market and who can spot BS from a mile away. You demonstrated all 3 at that fountain. How about we meet on Monday? My private office is in Seattle. I'll fly you up. Details to follow from my assistant, Sarah. Tell Sarah if you need a place to stay while we finalize things. And please order yourself some good Talenti gelato on the company card. Seriously. I read the part about the CCO position, a 6-figure job I never in a million years thought I would be applying for, and then I read the part about the Talenti gelato. I laughed so hard my sister came running in thinking I was choking. This wasn't just a lifeline, it was a luxury yacht. A week went by where I prepared for the interview. Sarah, Bobby's assistant, was incredibly professional and sent me a first-class ticket to Seattle. I had to go back to apartment 3B briefly to gather clothes and important documents while Nicholas was supposedly driving the kids to their advanced sensory tactile development class, which BTW is just making complicated sandcastles. The return was stressful. Apartment 3B was immaculate because Nicholas is obsessed with order. He had already left passive-aggressive notes on the fridge. Note 1 on the almond milk. Catherine, I need the password to your joint investment account. This behavior is financially reckless. Note 2 on the kids' report cards. 7F got a B in robotics. This is unacceptable. I attribute this regression directly to your emotional instability. Fix this. I just took the documents, my best clothes, and the good charger. I left him a note too. I taped it to the BMW keys he was still making payments on. Nicholas, I changed the investment account passwords. Call Maya, my lawyer. Do not contact me directly again. The B in robotics is probably because you stressed her out so much she couldn't focus. Relax. See, I slammed the door and sped off, feeling like a weight had been lifted. By Tuesday, I was in Seattle, staying at an absurdly beautiful company-owned short-term rental overlooking Puget Sound. The interview with Bobby was less of an interrogation and more of a genuine conversation about values. Bobby 57M looked less crumpled than he did at the retreat. He was still quiet and thoughtful, but he had a powerful, subtle energy. We talked for 3 hours. He wasn't focused on my resume as much as my ability to see the inherent humanity in people, even when they were annoying. Nicholas, Bobby said, leaning back in his chair, is the embodiment of transactional living. He saw my grief and tried to make it currency. I need someone who can create a brand built on transformation, not transaction. I told him about being a Disney dad, about loving the fun parts of life, and about how exhausted I was trying to keep up with Nicholas's frantic, competitive schedule. I spent 10 years trying to convince him that achievement isn't the only metric of success, I admitted. I realized he wasn't listening. He was just waiting for his turn to talk about himself. Bobby smiled, a genuine, sat-around-the-edges smile. That's exactly it. He confused the retreat for a pitch meeting. You saw it for what it was, mandatory misery that might, if you were lucky, result in a moment of peace. We need to market the peace, Catherine, not the performance. He offered me the job right there. CCO, 6 figures, benefits, full relocation package. I accepted immediately. I was terrified, but it was the first time in years I felt like I was moving towards something instead of just running away. So here's the update on the chaos because y'all deserve the full picture. Harold Garcia, 25M, remember the conspiracy theorist? He had recorded Nicholas' meltdown at the retreat. He posted the footage online with the caption, CEO exposed. Achievement Dad's meltdown is proof the wellness industrial complex is harvesting your adrenaline. It only got about 300 views because honestly Harold's production quality was terrible, but Nicholas saw it. Nicholas freaked out and started texting me demanding I sue Harold for defamation, completely missing the fact that Harold was the least of his problems. I ignored those texts. The financial reality check. Nicholas, predictably, refused to pay the $3,470 bill for the abandoned room. Bobby, being the owner, didn't care about the money, but he did send Nicholas's lawyer a very detailed, itemized list of all the damages Nicholas caused, including a cracked meditation bowl, which Bobby valued at $500, citing sacred materials. I had to hire a forensic accountant to start unraveling our finances. Turns out, Nicholas had significantly overleveraged himself on the BMW and the kids' expensive schools. The savings he always talked about for their future were practically non-existent. He was running on fumes and anxiety. The divorce is going to be brutal, but it's becoming clear that I was the primary source of stability, not the distraction he claimed I was. The custody fight, this is the hard part. Nicholas is using the kids as shields. He keeps refusing to let me video call unless I agree to return to the house and discuss the terms of my return. Maya, my lawyer, is handling it, but it's slow. Every time I get a text about my 7F missing me, I want to fold, but then I remember the tweet and I remember him using her B in robotics as a weapon against me. The kids deserve a stable, happy mom, not a resentful co-parent trapped in an anxiety cage. My big confrontation with Nicholas finally. A week after I accepted the job, I needed to get the rest of my stuff and more importantly, see the kids. Maya arranged a monitored exchange at a neutral location, a park near apartment 3B. I saw Nicholas pulling up in the BMW. He saw me step out of the nice corporate car Bobby had arranged for me, a hybrid SUV, not a status symbol. He walked over, his eyes scanning me up and down. He looked haggard, he hadn't shaved, and his linen shirt was wrinkled. He was failing at the achievement aesthetic. You look well, he said grudgingly. I am well, I replied. Where are the kids? They're with the nanny. I didn't want them here for this circus. Catherine, we need to talk. This job in Seattle, it's ridiculous. It's a charity handout from that Bobby guy. You're letting him control your life because you're emotionally compromised. You need to drop the charges, return to the house, and we can discuss a strategy for getting me reinstated for the CEO position. I just looked at him, no shouting, no shaking, just tired resolve. Nicholas, I am the chief creative officer for the corporate parent company of the Serenity Oasis. I'm making more than you've ever made, and I am doing it because a grieving man recognized my basic human decency, something you clearly lack. This isn't charity. This is called recognizing value. You lost the job because you're a terrible person, not because I was emotionally compromised. Don't talk about decency. You're abandoning your family for a higher salary. I'm abandoning a marriage built on keeping up with the Joneses and prioritizing spreadsheets over human beings. The kids are better off with me happy, even if it's 400 miles away, than with me miserable in apartment 3B, watching you turn them into tiny, high-functioning automatons. You know what I realized? You didn't want the kids to succeed for them. You wanted them to succeed so you could win at parenting. He went silent. That hit home, TBH. And by the way, I added, stepping closer, I finally changed the passwords on the smart home system. I think the kids might enjoy watching a Disney movie that isn't an educational documentary about the rise of competitive microelectronics. Have fun figuring out the new parental controls. I took a deep breath. Maya will be in touch. I want shared custody, but the kids will primarily be with me in Seattle. They need a break from Mandarin and robotics. He tried to argue to deploy his usual gaslighting techniques, but I just walked away, got into the car, and had my driver take me back to the airport. I didn't look back. I still cried that night, not because of Nicholas, but because leaving the kids was excruciating. So it's been 4 weeks since the confrontation, and I'm sitting in my new, ridiculously spacious office overlooking the city. I officially started the CCO job 2 weeks ago. I'm busy, like really busy. But it's creative, fulfilling busy, not anxious, competitive busy. My first big project, rebranding the Serenity Oasis. The theme, authentic connection and disconnection. We're banning all performance-based language and focusing on genuine human experience. I called Bobby last week, asking if he was absolutely sure he wanted me, a freshly separated woman with massive baggage, to lead this project. He just said very quietly, Catherine, your husband's entire existence was a performance review. You survived that. You're the most authentic person I know. That's what people need to buy right now, trust me. It's still messy with Nicholas. He is dragging his feet on every single piece of divorce paperwork. He's claiming emotional distress due to my disappearance coinciding with his career failure. Maya says he's trying to establish leverage. He's also trying to get the kids into a more expensive private summer school program just to prove he can still achieve. The good news? My 7F and 5M are coming to Seattle for a long weekend visit next month. We're going to the real zoo, not the virtual one. We're going to eat Talenti gelato for breakfast, probably. I'm going to let them run wild and forget the precise macronutrient content of their snacks. I'm realizing something profound about Nicholas and his achievement obsession. It was never about having enough, it was about being afraid of being nothing. He wasn't achieving success, he was running from perceived failure. And he tried to drag me and the kids into the race with him. I still have bad days. Yesterday I saw a BMW identical to his and felt a surge of panic. I stress ate an entire box of Thin Mints, which is definitely not aligned with the wellness retreat aesthetic. But I am also finding small victories. I laughed genuinely for the first time in months when my sister sent me a meme about divorce lawyers. I went for a hike and enjoyed the actual scenery instead of trying to optimize my step count. I'm sleeping better TBH. The quiet is incredible. There are no frantic early morning schedule checks, no whispered strategizing about the kindergarten admissions committee, just silence. And the best part, I still talk to Bobby occasionally. Not about work, but about life. He's teaching me how to grieve the life I thought I was supposed to have and how to appreciate the one I'm actually building. He's a genuinely kind man and he hasn't once used his grief as a motivational poster. I lost a husband who forgot our anniversary because he was too busy trying to monetize human suffering. But I gained a career, my self-respect, and a beautiful office. The 10-year anniversary was officially ruined, yes. But NGL, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I will update when the final divorce decree comes through. Wish me luck with the paperwork. And thanks for reading my chaotic brain dump. It helped me process everything. Anyway, that's the update. Time to go reformulate the corporate branding strategy to remove all mentions of synergy.